Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Abraham Accord, the third beast, police traitors, and some people fighting against the government. I think it's got some real important information. But before we get into it, if you are thinking about gold or silver, or if you have an IRA or 401k, I'd highly recommend you call 800-200-GOLD. You don't want to lose your whole life savings in an IRA or even take a big dip in it. And these guys can make certain that you have at least the very, very best information you can get. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost anything. No reason not to call them 800-200-GOLD and just say, here's my situation. Am I okay? Maybe they say, yeah, well, you're okay. Maybe they don't. 800-200-GOLD. Okay, so here we go. Israel. Is the 7-year tribulation about to start, or has it already started? We're going to talk about that. And are we soon to see the Antichrist? Now, I talked about this a couple of programs ago, but I have additional information. Okay, so this is Donald Trump. After negotiations, Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we know all that. We also know that this is the line that they're talking about that they withdraw to. Okay, first Israel withdraws back to the yellow line, then back to the black line, but there's a couple of sticking points, and we're going to talk about those sticking points. Trump announces Israel agrees to Gaza initial withdrawal line as 3,000-year-old catastrophe, or war, nears the end. Now, it's not final yet. We're working on it diligently, and I hope, with God's help, that in the coming days during the Sukkot holiday, which is now, today, I'm recording this, 1:25 p.m., 10/6/25, Sukkot started last night in Jerusalem at sundown, so we are now in Sukkot, or Tabernacles, which is the 7th of the feast of Leviticus 23. Anyway, Netanyahu claimed that after intense military diplomatic pressure, Hamas was pressured into agreeing to Israel's proposed plan, rejecting the fact that Hamas has previously been all ready to release the Israeli hostages without a full withdrawal from Gaza. In other words, it's not just Trump, it's not just Israel, it's, as I'm about to show you, it's several other Muslim nations pressuring them to end this thing. So Hamas supposedly has accepted the hostage release from another Gaza deal elements after the Trump ultimatum. He says that basically you got to give up power, you got to release all remaining hostages, and you have until Sunday evening, which was last night as I'm recording this at 6 p.m. Now, I wish I had the final information, but of course it hasn't been released yet as I'm recording this. But he says this is a last chance, and if not, holy hell is about to break out in Gaza. Now, hang on, remember all this, I'm going to make a point. So my first question is this the Abraham Accords, and is this the third beast forming? Leaked document reveals a plan for Tony Blair to manage Gaza. Well, it turns up he's probably the right guy to do it, because they're saying that at the heart of the plan stands the establishment of an international board of directors comprising 7 to 10 members. Tony Blair would head the board as general coordinator or executive president. And it goes on to say he's 72. He's previously served as the quartet's Middle East envoy between 2007 and 2015, has emerged as an active behind-the-scenes player in recent months. And here it is. He met with Arab leaders, participating in the major White House greeting on Gaza's future, and let's go to the bottom line, Area Lightstone, holding dual Israeli-American citizenship as representative of the Abraham Accords. Abraham Accords, okay? I think that's huge. Most people probably don't see it and don't really connect, and I hope I can connect that today. So, back to my question. Is this on, about, or around, or associated with the start of the 7-year tribulation? Well, we talked about this too. So Yom Kippur started at sundown last Wednesday. Sukkot, or Tabernacles, started sundown last night. Now, why is that important? Remember those dates. Okay, so we're looking at basically 4 days that it could have already happened. It could have been signed. Maybe we haven't been told. But Watch. So this is my chart of the last 7 years. I believe that the tribulation will start on some atonement. I'm sorry. Yes, atonement. It'll start on some future atonement. It'll actually start there. Then that means it also ends on atonement some 7 years later. That means there's some 7 years or 2,520 days or times dividing time or 42 months, however you want to cut it up. But the point is, it may have already started. We don't know yet. So let's look at the scriptures to understand what's going on. So Leviticus 23:33 says that the Jews are to hold a Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days. Now, remember that. Then on the 8th day, they're to have an offering made by fire and a solemn assembly. Now, the point that I want to look at here are the very last line, everything upon his day, meaning when God does something, when it is his hand doing it, most of the time he will do it on one of his 7 feast days. And this day, within this feast, there's actually 8 days. Now, what does that mean? Okay, let me jump back to our chart. Go back here. So that means that Sukkot or Tabernacles started sundown the 6th. So if you add 8 days to that, that means that any one of those days could be the day. It's still a feast day. Now, I think personally that the tribulation starts on atonement, which would be 1 or 2. Now, that may mean that there was an agreement signed back then. We don't know. But there's a couple of things that are still a concern here, which I'm about to cover. Here's a problem. Daniel 9:27 tells us what starts the 7-year tribulation. And he, meaning the Antichrist, shall confirm the covenant with many, I think that's many nations, well, maybe 4, like the Abraham Accord, for 1 week. Now, like you and I say, a couple means 2 or a dozen means 12. The word there in the Hebrew for 1 week is the word Shabuah. And in Israeli, it's 7. It's a very common word in their language. Shabuah. So what it's saying is the Antichrist is going to start the 7-year tribulation by confirming some covenant for 1 week. Now, most covenants don't start out to be just a 7-year agreement. They tend to go on for a long time, maybe forever. But it just lasts 7 years is what it's saying. Then, in the middle of the week, the Antichrist sits on the Ark of the Covenant. Well, we don't even know who the Antichrist is, in my opinion. And the Ark of the Covenant has been found, but it has not been released to the public yet. So that means we are not, or even, in my opinion, even close to the middle of the tribulation yet. But it could be very, very close for it to start. Now, why do I say that? There's a couple of things. One of them, it didn't say that Antichrist started this agreement. It didn't say that his timing is at the first signature or that it even originates with him. The timing starts with a confirmation. Now, what's a confirmation? Well, it could be a signature. It could be simply that he just keeps his mouth shut and goes along with it. Or it could be simply a wink and a nod or maybe a gesture. But only says Antichrist confirms it must be a simple verbal agreement. That's my point. Another problem. We're not even sure the Antichrist has even arrived. In my opinion, he hasn't. If we don't know who the Antichrist is, how can we be able to spot if this is the agreement? Well, it could be that the agreement go ahead and started, but it hasn't started the 7-year countdown yet because the Antichrist has not confirmed it yet. So my point being, it could be that this agreement to end this war with Israel could eventually, hear that word, eventually be the document that starts the tribulation. But until the Antichrist confirms it, it doesn't start the tribulation. So that means that maybe this document is the document, but maybe it's not going to be signed on atonement. Maybe it's not going to be signed on Sukkot or Tabernacles. Maybe it's not going to be signed right now. Maybe it's signed and then this time next year on atonement is when the Antichrist pops up and he confirms it. You see, the peace agreement or the agreement is not what starts it. It is the Antichrist confirming it. Now, if the Antichrist is one of the for Abrahamic Accord nations, which we'll talk about. So then there's another problem. According to Kim Peters, the Antichrist has olive skin, most handsome man, strong words. That's what it said. You could pause and read it. I don't think he's here. I haven't seen him. Now let's go to a next thing. Third beast, Abraham Accord. So as you look at Daniel 7:24, it's talking about four beasts. The first one is America. The second one is Russia. The third one is a Muslim nation. The fourth one is world government, i.e. the Antichrist. Now, I'll call your attention to verse 6. It says, I beheld lo another, a leopard. Well, I can go into an hour talk, or you can believe me, the leopard represents Muslim nations. Then it says, on the back of it has four wings of a fowl. That means that there's four landmasses, and the beast has four heads. So each one of those landmasses has a leader. So we're looking, see, you can't have a world government, you can't have the fourth beast until you have the third beast. Well, do we have the third beast? In my opinion, right now, the best choice for that probably is this. You may now see Trump is standing there, but there's actually, according to what I just looked up, the four nations are actually UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco. That's four land masses, that's four leaders, and they're all Muslims. So it may very well be that the third beast, prophetically, has already been formed. I can't guarantee that, but I'm just saying, hey, it could be that we're now ready for the tribulation. Okay, let's go on. I made I think this is a 5-hour DVD. I mean, I went all the way through Daniel, teaching every verse on it with all kinds of pictures and everything several years ago. I'd recommend you go to watchprophecyclub.com. You can go watch it. Look, it's $20 a month, $200 a year, 300 plus recordings. It took us 25 years to make these recordings. And a lot of them we would not be able to put on the platforms today. They'd pull us just like that because they don't want that information out. A lot of information up on Watch Prophecy Club we could not put out today. But if you'll go, the first 3 days are free. Okay, go browse. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't cost you anything. Go watch a few of them. You can watch a few of them for free. Go watch this one, Daniel, verse by verse. Okay, now, let's jump to another topic. Citizens block and shoot at ICE officers. Now, you recall Dmitry was told some of the people start fighting against the government. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution. What is an internal revolution? It's when there is bloodshed, where the people of that nation overthrow the government of that nation. So now we have people firing at officers. So far, there's not been any officer bloodshed. Now, there has been bloodshed on the other side, but it was by his hand, and that was when the guy was shooting at the ICE office. He killed some detainee. But as far as someone from our nation that officers killed, to my knowledge, has not happened. Someone from the people killing one of our officers or shedding the blood starts it, my knowledge, has not happened. So we're very close. It could happen any moment, but in my opinion, not yet. But let's watch. So the Chicago police ordered the other Chicago police not to respond. The situation was this. Chicago ICE agents had some people, their protesters, actually rammed their car into ICE agents and surrounded the ICE agents with some 10 vehicles, and one of them was armed, and the officer, I guess, did shoot and wound this woman. But the chief, here's the point, the chief of patrol instructed the officers, the Chicago officers, not to go help ICE. Well, how bad is that? That's real bad. They were forced to employ their weapons and fire defensive shots at an armed U.S. citizen, and that the armed U.S. citizen reportedly texted, "Hey, to all my gang, let's mess them up. Don't go let them take anybody." And no law enforcement officers were seriously injured during the incident, adding to the woman involved. She drove herself to the hospital to get care for her wounds. So it may be that we do. now that I read this back, it may be that we do have bloodshed between government and people right there. So now, has that officially been the internal revolution? I would think it would be someone from the people wounding someone in the government. That would be the ultimate step. Next topic. Bounty offered for ICE officers, $10,000 if you kill an ICE officer. You get $2,000 if you abduct them, and they have posted pictures and addresses. Again, some of the people start fighting against the government. So cartels target federal immigration agents with $10,000 bounties. Kristi Noem reveals dangerous and unprecedented. As I said, $2,000 kidnap, $10,000 if you kill them, and they're posting the pictures up on networks. This is gangs and cartel members and known terrorist organizations. Why are they doing this? Because they want to stop ICE because it's taking their money away. A sniper opened fire on an ICE facility, as we've talked about in Dallas, 2 weeks, like less than 2 weeks ago, injuring 2 others. And on Saturday, a caravan of 10 different vehicles followed Border Patrol agents on the streets of Chicago, pinned them down, which I just talked about that. Now, here's another question. Who's funding the protesters? Well, she said that the government is trying to figure out who is funding the protesters. This is not the first article we've seen on this. What is going on? I was in Chicago 2 days ago watching these protesters and our officers engage with them. All the protesters are wearing the same masks, the same gas masks. They're carrying the same kind of signs, printed in the same font. They all look alike, and they believe that somebody is funding them. In other words, it's coming from a or several central sources. I don't think that's hard to believe at all. So, what was Dimitri Duduman told? The fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. So it's not just a bunch of people upset. It's funded, it's organized, and it's the communists that are trying to destroy the last Christian nation. Started by the communists, just like he said. So a lot of this is getting close. National Police Union called Chicago's refusal to help ICE agents shocking and a violation of duty because they say that it should never happen when a police officer does not assist surrounded agents. This was an article that the National Fraternal Order of Police sent to them saying, these are shocking and appalled reports coming out of Chicago that commanding officers barred local law enforcement from assisting immigration and customs agents when they were surrounded by a group of protesters. We respond to any and all calls from officers' distress. When a law enforcement officer is in trouble, nothing should stand in the way of fellow officers rendering assistance. I agree. We at the National FOP, as well as other members in the Illinois FOP, condemn these actions by the Chicago officials. So now we have police stabbing other police in the back. So we basically have an internal revolution among police, right? Okay. Some of the people start fighting against the government. Now, I want you to look at these pictures. This is pictures also out of Chicago. So the guy, as you see, they're arresting one to be deported. This is some of the family members. Now, you might be saying, what's wrong with this? Okay, well, it's our media trying to make people angry. It's communists trying to make the rest of America angry, showing these kind of pictures. In my opinion, they should not be showing these kind of pictures. Some of the people, they're trying to get people to stir up against the government. Here's another one. This is the guy's wife that was protesting. She was crying, and she got thrown on the ground. Here's her son. I mean, it's quite emotional. She got thrown on the ground by one of the officers. So when they show these kind of pictures, it upsets even Christians. They say, look at, do you have to treat them this way? I'm only saying that Dimitri's message, his warning, is getting closer every day. This is not the massive arrests. FBI says its nationwide violent crime crackdown netted over 8,629 arrests in 3 months. The Bureau conducted Operation Summer Heat, which featured several teams from 55 FBI field officers, and the operation netted 8,629 people, 2,281 guns, 44,559 kilograms of cocaine. It also took 421 kilograms of fentanyl off the streets. And he said, if you hurt a child, we're coming for you. If you carjack a car, we're coming for you. If you're polluting our neighborhoods with deadly drugs, we're coming for you. The Bureau and its partners also rescued over 1,000 children and 30 fugitives wanted for murder. Now, let me tell you why I don't think that this is the massive arrest. I don't think that the some 20 million illegal immigrants that snuck their way into America, being arrested, being deported, counts as part of the massive arrest. I don't think FBI arresting criminals like this is what it's talking about. I think that the massive arrest is talking about people in high places, senators, congressmen, bankers, international businessmen. I'm talking about faces we recognize, names we know. And when that starts happening, if you think that they're protesting when criminals from other nations are arrested and deported, when you think they're protesting when 8,629 arrests of murderers and child rapists and people that are stealing children, you think that they're protesting that. Wait until they say go after, and I'm not suggesting Obama's a bad guy. I don't know. I didn't vote for him, put it that way. But if Obama were to be arrested, or a Nancy Pelosi, or an Adam Schiff, those level of people, there would be an internal revolution. Now, would Trump stop at that? No, he would proceed right on with the arrests. But then about that time, we also saw that then God raises up China, Japan, and many of the nations. They go against the Russians. They defeat the Russians. Okay, so are those nations angry at us? Yes, because Trump just declared that the cabals in South America are enemy combatants. I just saw today that War Department Secretary Hegseth has just said he has been given authority to attack them. So now we're attacking Central America, just like the prophecy said. We're angering the very people that the prophecy said would go in and defeat us and destroy us. I can see where we are setting up in every area so that the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Why? Because Trump goes out and tries to clean our nation by arresting some 500,000 people, ballpark guess, and a lot of the communists do not like to see their buddies arrested, so they protest. Some of the people start fighting against the government. We're talking about bullets flying and blood flowing. I think we're looking at that, and I can't say it's not going to happen this year. As a matter of fact, I can say I'm surprised it hasn't already happened. Then, in the middle of all of this chaos, when Trump is trying to heal our nation, about that time, someplace in there, we split Israel. God splits America. We still haven't got past that prophecy. So God splits America, opens us up from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, right in the middle of Mexico, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, and several of the countries angry at us, along with Russia. Now we've sent missiles over that are, well, not yet, but by that time we will have sent missiles over that have landed on Russian soil, killed Russians, and they have USA written on the side of them. So now Russia has a legal, before the face of the rest of the world, standard or reason or excuse to attack America. So if you step back and look at what Dmitry was told in 1987, when I heard about it, he was told in 1984, I heard about it in 1987, I mean, even 10 years ago. I was just talking to my agent the other day. He said, 10 years ago, people thought you had a hole in your head, talking about there'll never be an internal revolution in America. But today, I don't think I have a hole in my head. And if you've been following Prophecy Club for a while, you're probably saying, I see it. I can see we're getting pretty close to this. So, what do? I would say, first and foremost, ask Jesus into your heart. Ask Jesus to forgive your sins. Get you a King James Bible and start reading it like your life, your eternal life, depends on it, because it does. I would recommend you get in church. If you've not been in church, go to one. It ought to look like the King James Bible. If it doesn't look like that, then that's the wrong church. I think you need to get your family in there, all of them. You need to start reading your Bible. I think that every Christian should have read through the Bible, King James, at least once in their life, at least once. Matter of fact, I would encourage you to come to my Bible study. I do a Bible study every Friday evening. It's live, streamed live, Friday evening, 6:30 Central Time. And start learning the Bible. Start cleaning up your life. All the little secret sins that people do, you're probably doing them, and the devil has a hold of your heart, and you got to walk away from those. You got to accept Jesus. You got to start cleaning up your life. You got to put oil in your lamp, trim your wick. You've got to make certain that you're not, surfeiting and spending time with the drunkards out there, as the Bible says. You've got to be walking and living a clean life so that when the trouble comes, Jesus can save you from the trouble. If you want to be on the end of making money, gold and silver is preserving your money. If you want to be on the end of making money, then you might want to call prophecyclubcrypto.com, or actually go to it, or call that number at the bottom right corner. Ask them about crypto if you're in the position where you can make money. When the suitcase nukes, I didn't say if, I said when the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these from EMPShield.com. EMPShield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps your prophecy class.